Hey everybody, before we get started this week, I have huge news. She actually did it. We're pleased to announce that Beatrice Jin, top-ranked women's competitor in North America and longtime BJJ Mental Models premium community member, has published her first ever course with us, exclusive to BJJ Mental Models. It's called Stop Being Nice. It's a 3-part audio series designed to solve real mindset problems that regular folks experience in jiu-jitsu. If you struggle to be aggressive and competitive in jiu-jitsu, you'll find the solutions here. If you're already a BJJ Mental Models premium subscriber, you've already got access. And if you are not, good news, you can get it now and get your first week free. Go to bjjmentalmodels.com and check it out today. Hey everybody, welcome back to BJJ Mental Models. I am Steve Kwan, and BJJ Mental Models is your guide to a conceptual and intelligent jiu-jitsu approach. And in this mini episode, as in so many of these mini episodes, I have a concept to share that I have to credit to Rob Bernacki from Island Top Team and BJJ Concepts. I first discovered this concept hearing Rob talk about how to control people's arms in no-gi. He calls this concept mind the gap. Similar to the motto that you will hear if you ever take the tube in London, mind the gap, they say, because they don't want you to, stick your foot in the gap between the subway and the boarding platform. But it's generally good advice in life, I guess, and especially in jiu-jitsu, in the context that we're going to discuss here today. So in the gi, if I want to control your arm, I've got a lot of ways to do that. If I get a good sleeve grip or elbow grip on the fabric of your gi, it's going to be hard for you to break free. Yeah, it can be done, but if you've ever trained the gi, you know how sticky these grips are. Just a good grip is really hard to escape, and someone who is good at gripping can hold you in place in situations that seem impossible in no-gi. What Rob has found is a series of ways to grip and control people's arms in no-gi that work pretty well. I don't want to say they work as well as they would in the gi, but he's found alternate ways to get grips on the arms that can hold people in place, and that has enabled him to do techniques in no-gi that most people feel just can't be done. For example, De La Riva guard or a lasso guard. Rob plays these in no-gi, and he's been able to make it work. And he's won a world championship at Masters Black Belt doing this, so I believe him. Now, the way that he describes this, he has a concept that he calls mind the gap. And here's what this means. Take one of your arms, say if you are right-handed, take your right hand, and wrap it around your other wrist. What you'll probably find is that you can connect your hand together. So maybe your thumb is touching your middle finger or your index finger or whatever finger for you is the longest. You will probably be able to close that gap around your wrist. However, if you slide your grip down your arm towards your elbow, so you're sliding it down your forearm from your wrist towards the elbow, pretty soon you're probably going to get to a point where that gap opens up and you are no longer able to close your entire hand around your arm. It's not the same for everybody. Some people have really big hands, some people have really thin forearms, and so it might be possible for you to just keep that control all the way through. But you'll probably find that at some point that grip opens up and you can no longer fully encircle your hand around your other arm. That's the main thing that makes gripping in no-gi hard when you're trying to control someone by the arms. In the gi, I have the benefit of just grabbing onto the fabric. And there's a little bit of looseness to the fabric where if you move around, I can follow you quite easily without getting a bunch of tension on my fingers. That makes gi grips really strong. In no-gi, it's flesh on flesh. You are trying to enclose the other person's arm in yours. And for most body types, you probably can't do it. Now, again, there are outliers. Most people can't do that though. And what that means is you've got to find another alternative and another solution. So that's where this mind the gap mental model comes into play. Again, go back to enclosing your arm, your forearm with your other hand, and what you will probably find is that there is a gap. There is a point where you can no longer connect your thumb to your longest finger. That gap is the gap that you want to mind. It is the presence of that gap that allows people to escape your no-gi grips. If someone wants to escape a no-gi grip that you have on their arm, they're going to try to circle or pull their arm through that gap. between the thumb and the longest finger. That's the weak point in the link that you're creating when you try to control someone's arm in no-gi. So how can you solve that? You need to mind the gap. What that means is you need to protect that gap so that the person cannot pull their arm through there. There's a few ways to do that. One way, Rob does what he calls an inverted grip sometimes. It's kind of hard to describe, so I'm not even going to attempt to do it through audio here. If you want to learn more, you should really check out his video stuff on BJJ Concepts. But what he basically does is he protects that gap, the place where his thumb and his fingers would connect. If he cannot connect it, he protects it with something else. There's a few ways you can do that. You can press that gap up against your leg. Rob does this a lot with lasso guard, because if your leg is already engaged, if I punch your hand into a position where that gap in my grip is now trapped up against my own leg, you're not going to be able to get your hand free. Even if you can break through that gap in my grip, you can't get through my leg. And so there's a secondary reinforcement mechanism there. It creates a closed loop around your arm that's going to make it hard to pull free. You need to protect that gap. You need to close it. If you can't close it just by having giant hands, maybe you can close it by pressing that gap against something else. It could be your leg. It could be your other hand. It could be another part of your opponent's body. It could be the floor. But the idea is that you are trying to close that gap so that your opponent cannot simply circle their hand out of your no-gi grip. This is a really cool concept if you want to start playing with a really grippy no-gi game. A lot of people thought that this stuff just could not be done unless you were playing in the gi. Rob's got some great examples of how it actually can be done. So again, BJJ Concepts is the place to go if you want to see some visual examples of how Rob does this. If you want more discussions like what we're doing here today, check out BJJ Mental Models. We have over 100 mini episodes like this that'll get you key concepts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in just a few minutes. All of it is completely free. And if you want a longer, more in-depth conversation, we have interviews and discussions with some of the best minds in the sport in our full-length podcast episodes. Also completely free. And our newsletter, definitely worth your time. Over 15,000 subscribers across the world. Again, also free. All of that is at BJJMentalModels.com. And if you would like to level up with us and become one of the over 700 grapplers around the world who subscribe to BJJ Mental Models Premium for key insights on jiu-jitsu strategy, concepts, tactics, philosophy, and mindset, please do check out BJJMentalModels.com. That is the world's largest audio library of jiu-jitsu masterclasses. All of that is at BJJMentalModels.com. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this, and we will talk to you soon.